Hello, hello. It's Wednesday, my crew. How's it going? Hey, Sapphire, Nyx, Rhiannon, Diginanigans. It's good to see ya. Sorry, I had to skip the stream last week. I would explain why, but it would involve a very long tirade about Adobe and how much I despise them. But let's not worry about that. All right, some fun stuff. Actually, what I want to kind of do, Godot 4.6 came out, and I upgraded to it. I kind of want to look at everything that's in it. I think that'd be fun. So maybe we'll do that while people are coming in. We're getting going here. No stream yesterday saved your stream streak. Okay, I'm glad. I mean, I'm sad that you were sick, Rhiannon, but I'm glad it served. Was of some benefit to somebody. Why did I open my why did I open Steam? How did that happen? What was I trying to open? Probably Ace, right? Oh, I like that. But yeah, I want to look at Godot 4.6. It's out. Try it. This is fun. There's a new editor theme. Let's look at the highlights. Also join the development fund. Speaking of monetization, YouTube's monetized now. For future listeners. Just some little fun stuff. Nothing too crazy, hopefully. But we're a YouTube partner, officially. Hey, Nyx with the 5 stream streak. Good on ya. Streaker sounds off. Oh, nice. Yeah. For a second, I was like, I don't think there's a sound associated with the streaks, but I kind of wish there was. I know, YouTube partner. I'm a YouTuber. Like, officially. It's pretty good. YouTube's been pretty pleased with our performance. I'm not going to show the dashboards because I don't know if I'm allowed to. But the YouTube's been pumping us with impressions. They gave us 200,000 impressions this month. And 200,000, which has doubled our views, but more importantly, it's quintupled our watch time. And I think the algorithm is pleased with that. That if they double our views, we quintuple our watch time. I think that's the kind of thing that you need nowadays. Yeah, so the new theme, I've tried it. This is like an example of the new Godot theme for 4.6. Sapphire, you honestly do kind of like the look for Godot a bit, the new look. You prefer darker themes? Yeah, I also prefer darker themes. Hold on, I have this array of pillows I'm using. You took off work today, Rhiannon? You're making cinnamon rolls? That sounds awesome. But yeah, there's some cool stuff. There's the quote-unquote modern theme. Is nice. The grayscale, I don't know if I love the grayscale, but I do like the darker theme. So I ended up going with a variation on it, which is I ended up going with Breeze Dark. If I went to default, it would be like this. Such a subtle difference, but I think this is fine. It's just a little gray for me. I kind of like the bluish tint. I acknowledge why they changed it for like color accuracy stuff, but yeah, I like this a little better. I'm fairly pleased with it. A little weird they didn't change the script coloration, but yeah, I think it's fine. I think it works good with the new I don't know what to call the GD script theme color. It makes me think of watermelons because of the dominant like red and green look. Yeah, I like it. I'm down. I'm down with the new theme. The modern arrangement, I honestly don't know what that does. I tried to switch it back and forth between modern and classic. I don't totally understand. There's some slight spacing changes. Use the pink accent color. Ooh, nice. Yeah, that sounds good. You imagine being able to rearrange the docks will be really nice as well. Oh, they added that? That sounds good. Jolt physics by default. This should have been the default for a while. I, in fact, thought this was already the default since they added it. But, oh, here it is. Docks. Movable floatable docks and panels. This looks great, too. I love their highlight posts. These are so smart. I feel like someday when we're doing like major revision, major updates, I should put together some kind of major update post that looks like this with like little GIFs and like little examples of what's changing. That'd be neat. Reminds you of Unity's UI? What, the color? I guess. The grayscale, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, Jolt is great. Jolt is good. I love this. I love the little Godobis. Whoever records these videos is having fun. These are good. Yeah, positional docks is great. Floating docks, no problems there. Some bone and spline stuff. Bad to the bone. I see what they're trying to do here. They're trying to do like a George Thorogood choke there. An IK framework, pretty neat. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. We're not really a 3D dev house here, but it's pretty cool. What else we got? This looks crazy. This looks like... Okay, okay. I see what they did there. These reflections are looking... Screen space reflections are looking good. Wow, that is a marked difference if you look at the water. Shenanigans. Quote-unquote modern tweaks a lot of borders, white space, and alignment of panels, etc. to move some bloat. For you, it just feels more polished. Yeah, I think it's cool. The thing that took me a second to get used to was the fact that, like, I feel like there used to be, like, a recessed inner area for the scene one. And I feel like some of these had, like there was, like, a window within the window or whatever. Whereas now it's just one flat panel, which is probably better. I have a hard time evaluating this because I'm not, like, going back and, like, looking at the old version. Oh, our music is... We're still on crazy intro cinematic mode, huh? Retro Waltz. That's a pretty good song for us, though. That's pretty on theme for us. All right, my jam. Let's go. Yeah, that's neat. What's going on here? Oh, nice. They like the GD Quest has done like a more thorough workflow overview of what's changing. That's cool. I'm not gonna watch that, but that's cool. We like GD Quest. They're great if you're learning. I mean, we're always learning, but they're great when you're starting out. A node will remember. Introducing unique node IDs. What? Contributed by Juan. Unique node IDs. Great. So there's another kind of unique ID. Unique node IDs are saved in references in scene files. So to benefit from this change, you should ensure that all your scenes are resaved in 4.6. Project tools, upgrade project files. I should probably do that. Hopefully this fixes things like export variable connections to like IDs, to like, or to nodes. I hope this improves some persistence issues when you're messing around with stuff. Godot is a library. This is great. Lib Godot. We saw this at GodotCon last year. You can embed the engine directly into an application. It's super cool. If you're doing some kind of weird embedded stuff, this is pretty neat. I know some people. There's actually a surprising number of people who are using Godot outside of game development, which is pretty neat. Getting mixed signals. Signals starting with an underscore are now hidden from auto-completion and generated documentation. Okay. That's just like a consistency thing, it looks like. When the tile turns. Ooh, rotatable scene tiles. Neat. I didn't realize that was a limitation. I haven't tried to do that, but decoupled select and transform modes. Yeah, sick. That's very good. Again, I love these little videos. I want this Godot model. He's probably available somewhere. He's blinking. Look at that. That's adorable. I'm gonna die. Line to the gap. Rosenham line algorithm for grid map drawing. Ooh, neat. Probably makes it easier to draw level 3D stuff. Voxel style stuff. That's neat. That's neat. Rotation gizmos. There's a lot of these. We're just gonna kind of breeze through this. Pivots for control nodes. Oh. Oh, so we can move the pivot point from the top left to some other offset. As a ratio. It only accepts pixel values. I see. Now there's a ratio to do it in like quote-unquote screen space, probably. Cool. Click does not equal the focus. Separated mouse and keyboard focus. Ooh. These are fun. I don't usually read these during the life cycle of a new version, so it's fun to read these all at once. Margin container nodes. That'll be nice later. This thing is nice. I do want to separate my input from the mouse soon. Have like a independent cursor thing that can be driven by the mouse, but can also be driven by other things. I want to do something like that. Small editor enhancements. We don't spend a lot of time in the editor, so I'm not going to look at these too closely. Drag, hover, and drop. Ooh, switch tabs while dragging. Switch tabs on hover while dragging. Oh, I see. Very cool. Clickable files in the output pen. ObjectDB snapshots. There's a lot. Sorcery Story went over it all. It feels like it took her 2 hours. She was chatting with everyone the whole time. Yeah. How is the margin container thing not a thing before? Yeah, it's subtle. A lot of this stuff is lost on me if it's really subtle. This looks like it's a viewport change. Which is neat because managing, especially layers of margin containers, can be really confusing. So it would be neat. It seems like it's an extra little gizmo. Just make it easier to see what you're doing. Yeah, we're not going through all of this. I'm gonna probably start speeding up because there's stuff I don't care about, like animation editor goodies. These are nice, but we do so little stuff in the system. Patch PCKs. Some patch stuff. This is cool. So you can diff the patches that only for only the changes. That's nice. That's nice. I feel like that's never a problem for Godot, because who's Godot like executable is that large? I guess some people's. So that's neat. Foundation for advanced joypad feature support. Man, joypads are getting crazy. But I guess I do want joypad support, so. Custom keyboard shortcuts. I don't totally understand. Oh, so I can register like default keyboard shortcuts without making like an input map thing, or... Oh no, these are editor shortcuts. Neat. Okay, I like that. Some kind of compression stuff. LOD stuff. Rendering. Ooh, that looks good. I don't understand. It's a little better, I guess. That's better too. Ooh, getting rid of banding is pretty good. Or improving the banding situation is great. Whatever that does. Bonjour, C#. C# translation parser support. Ooh. Okay. CSV translation support and template generation. I have to look more into this. Does Godot have like a very well established like translation pipeline? I understand the structure of how you would build a translation CSV, but I guess Godot is doing a lot more work on having their own process for translation, which is neat. Headsets in the loop. XR, we're going to pretend the XR stuff. Whatever. So stuff for Android. This becomes very much less interesting for me. And I don't want to bother the people. We've been doing good about our average watch time on the VODs, so I don't want to go too crazy on this stuff. Scripting, I care about this. This is probably the last section we really care about. GD extension. That's kind of neat. And mark stuff is required. JSON, what's JSON doing here? GD extensions interface. The bridge between Godot and native code is now defined in JSON instead of a C header. Interesting. GD script. Oh, there's a step out. That's cool. Under the debugger. C++ tracing. It's written in bold. Improved VB code. VB code to markdown conversion. Oh, that's neat. For the docs, for documentation. That makes sense. String placeholder highlighting. I like that. The string placeholder stuff is really neat, but it can be confusing to keep track of. Teamwork makes the dream work. You're not kidding. Look at this. Look at all of these beautiful contributors. Who do we know? Who do we know here? Play John, of course. This is great. Look at all these wonderful people making our engine better. Appreciate you. Hey, there's a note from Remy, project maintainer. The people that make the release pages are great. Are they done? Is this already done by the GDQuest team? The design and integration is by Tibod. Oh, Emmy and Remy revises it. I love this little thing. This is great. We're gonna like, we'll read this and then I think that'll cap off our experiments here. Nanigans, you just implemented the Bresenham line algorithm in your own editor like 2 weeks ago. That's funny. It's just a smoothing algorithm to draw lines between 2 points. So if you're clicking drag to paint in some manner, you don't end up with jittery gaps. Yeah, I'm familiar with the Bresenham line drawing algorithm in principle. It's cool that they applied it to the grid map. And it's also typical that you've already implemented your own version of it, Nanigans. All right, so Remy says, almost 3 years after the 4.0 release, Godot 4 is starting to be a mature engine, including a wide array of features that enable countless developers to publish games in all genres. For example, Steam got over 1,200 new Godot games in 2025. That's huge. While itch.io consistently gets around 500 new Godot games per week, including game jams, prototypes, etc. Awesome. While every Godot user still has their own favorite missing feature, which they're eagerly waiting, for the most part, the engine is fully capable. There's still so many minor roadblocks, paper cuts, workflow issues, or outright bugs, which can make the experience of developing and publishing games more painful than we'd like. So for this release, there was a significant focus on polish and usability, aiming to firmly establish Godot as an engine that you can rely upon, while keeping the iteration speed, the lightweightness, and flexibility, which makes users love it. Close to 400 contributors were involved in this new feature release, authoring over 2,000 commits. And we want to thank them all for their amazing contributions, as well as all users who sponsor the development fund, reported bugs, open proposals, or support each other on our community platforms. Yeah, those are huge stats. 2,001 commits from 400 contributors. Last year, 1,200 new Godot games on Steam, about 500 a week for itch. That's amazing. Godot is here. We did it. And by we, I mean the people that actually work on this thing. But now that they've done it, we can enjoy it. That's awesome. All right. I guess now we can actually start the real part of the stream. Which is me pretending to get work done. Them implementing it anyway wouldn't have benefited you because you're not using the grid map UI. That also sounds typical. So yeah, speaking of not using the provided mapping technique, so we are making a change. I don't know where I want to be here. We're making a change to our drawing. We are not going to be drawing things with tile map layer anymore. Does this still work? For example, for demo purposes, does this crash? It does. Where does it crash? File not found. Oh, I haven't hooked that up yet. Let us see. Let us see. There is a file here. Environment tile new default texture atlas format JSON. Oh, are these not new? Is this an old now? Yes, it's an old. Okay. I tried to do this in a way that we can still demo the tile map layer rendering technique while we're working on a new technique. That is important to me because what I've learned more than anything from watching our YouTube analytics is that people love the visual streams, the streams where we're working on visuals. Why is this not working still? The JSON object contains a trailing comma at the end, which is not supported in this mode. Cool, cool. When you say trailing comma, this one? Okay. This is our new tile, quote unquote, tile texture format, which we'll be using for now. It's very similar to our old one. And My new Godot theme makes this theme seem a little bright, you know what I'm saying? Weird. I do like this. I do like the new Godot 4.6. Well, I guess I'm not using the default theme. I'm kind of using my own, or the Breeze Dark theme, but which was, as far as I know, already available in 4.5. But whatever. We're having a good time. Yeah, so this is all being done with tile map layers right now, and this does a lot for us. Like, we're able to layer stuff pretty easily, you know. There's some major performance issues once we start trying to do a lot, though, and it seems to be kind of an unavoidable side effect of working with a number of tile map layers. So yeah, this is slow. This is too slow to do these kinds of operations, so we're looking for a new solution. I could make this faster by, like, not fully re-uploading everything. We've done a bunch of speed passes on this with multi-threading, but we had some issues. So we're thinking about not doing this with tile map layer anymore. We're thinking about doing direct draw calls to canvas items because we have a fixed perspective and it's orthographic. We have a lot of options in terms of doing our own drawing. The canvas item draw functions are pretty good. They're pretty efficient. But what we need to work out is exactly the structure and flow. So I've been diagramming things as I like to do. So if we think about it from like a rendering standpoint, in terms of, so someone unlocked a thought process for me. I was talking to someone on Monday about this, another game dev, and my initial plan was to do the same kind of thing as we've got here. So we do it like layer by layer. Like this is one Z layer in world space, and here's like another Z layer and another Z layer, and we support a 64 by 64 by 64 grid. So these are the Z layers I was thinking about. So this is how our Z index is set up. We're using Y sorting on the tile map to like handle drop priority within a Z index. But what was pointed out to me is that I actually could be using like the camera's Z index, which is different than this. It's not just the vertical stacking. It's like the relationship to the camera matters a lot. Especially if we're going to be just drawing, like submitting draw calls. We need to submit the draw calls in the correct order because each sprite will draw over another sprite if there's any overlap, right? So we need to be like very purposeful and careful about this. And so the interesting thing, here we are. What's going on? You might be heading out already. You're finding yourself zoning out so much. No worries. Take it easy, Sapphire. Get some sleep. Hey, Arneo. How's it going? How are you doing? You're going to ask if doing this change will make rotating the camera easier or more difficult. I think it'll be similar. It's not really, it wasn't difficult to do it the other way either. The difficulty I had was handling all the transform math because like we had camera rotation when the camera wouldn't move, like when it would just quote unquote rotate. That was easy. But then we added camera motion and rotation, and I was having a hard time doing that consistently. Hopefully it'll be easier in the sense that I'm hoping that the worst case performance, which is we need to update like all of the canvas items, like for a camera rotation. I'm hoping that worst case scenario is much more performant than the tile map layer version, because obviously, as we could see, updating all the tile map layers was hard. It was hard in the sense that it was expensive. So I'm hoping that it'll be easier just by merit of the canvas item draws being cheaper generally. And we're going to achieve that hopefully through some like occlusion culling, where because otherwise we're going to have a massive overdraw problem. If we just naively draw everything in the grid, we will have a massive overdraw problem. So we need a system for occluding tiles that are obscured, right? For not drawing things that are obscured. And we should easily be able to do that as like a pre-pass sort of deal. It's like our cutaway system, but based on camera vision, not based on, you know, cursor position. Are you going to draw front to back then? Oh, no. Back to front. Well, it depends on what you mean by front to back. We'll draw the furthest away stuff first, and then, you know, work our way towards the camera. Yeah. We can occlude things front to back, and then draw them back to front. One big optimization that might be worth considering out of the gate is you don't need to waste time drawing things that are completely occluded. Yeah, Nanigans is right there with me. If you're placing solid walls, you only need to draw the exposed faces. Yeah, the only trick with that is we need to... We could handle that a number of ways. We could say that a wall is solid or whatever. Like, we could have a tag that, like, this texture fully blocks the tile behind it. So you don't need to consider the tile behind it, because some textures don't. Like, some textures are going to be, you know, only partially obscuring the tile behind it. And I have to think about how I want to handle that. I also have to think about how I want to handle things that are tall. But, like, based on this old tile model, like, this doesn't obscure all the tiles behind it, right? Because it's only partially covering the block space. This isn't a great example because it's not in line with what we're currently doing, which is much smaller, like this. The fact that the blocks are small makes this problem a lot easier compared to the way it used to be, so that's good. I have some thoughts about how to handle things that are tall, and we can talk about that. Nix, you think optimization should come after you have a fully working version, or at least the heavy optimization? Well, there's stuff that's obvious that we need to architect in, which is like the occlusion. Because there's some stuff that's predictable, which is, you know, we don't want to, we need to avoid overdrawing. But there is stuff there is this very specific trade-off that we need to, that we will wait to profile to figure out. And that was something I was thinking about last night. And here, maybe I explain more. So here's like a little backdrop, just like a little space. So this area back here is like the furthest back, right? This also happens to be tile 0, 0, 0, right? This is the farthest back block. It's a 0 for X, 0 for Y, and 0 for Z, with X, Y, and Z. And so we can draw back to front, and we're going to draw it. So, like I was saying earlier, so our Z index is going to be based on... This is going to get really confusing because I'm going to use terms like Y sorting and Z indexing, and I am not talking about block space. Well, I might be talking about block space. It's going to be confusing. Because, for example, our Z index is actually determined by a combination of all of the coordinates. It's the Manhattan distance of the coordinate of the block. And again, balance of premature optimization versus making fundamental performance wins that would make a ton of work to refactor in hindsight. Yeah, I think there's some stuff that you need to tackle head on from an architectural standpoint. But Nix isn't wrong. Like, I don't need to... Like, we know that there's going to be an overdraw problem, and I could just ignore it and see if it's actually a problem. I don't need to work on it straight away. And in fact, we probably will do exactly what Nix says, and we'll probably have a drawing version of this that doesn't occlude anything at first. Because the occluding thing is just going to be a system pass. Like, we can just add that. So, yeah, I don't consider that one on the list of architectural decisions we need to make. But yeah, it's a trade-off. It's definitely a trade-off. Anyway, so if you think of the Z indexes in terms of like the Z distance, the quote unquote Z distance from the camera, this is what we get. We get like it's based on the Manhattan distance of the block. And the Manhattan distance is, for our purposes, is since all of our coordinates here are positive at the moment, is that you add together each of the values of the components. So this one is Manhattan distance 0. These 3 blocks are Manhattan distance 1. I'm going to call it just Z distance 1. Which we can do all this stuff because we have a orthographic, like pseudo-isometric camera deal going on here. So this is like layer 2, this is layer 3. So this is generally the draw order of the environmental tiles in our little example here. It's maybe a little hard to see because I colored them all the same. I thought about doing alternative coloring. This is fun to do though. So we just need to iterate through in that order. And that order is static, so we might do some neat things. There is some complexity in terms of we need to do a kind of quote-unquote Y sorting for objects within a given Z-index or objects that are very tall that cover more than one block. I've thought about it a little, and I have a vague notion of how I want to do that, and it really comes down to a concept like Y sorting, but it involves more than just the vertical position of the sprite. So here's the thing that I want to wait to decide on until. So here's something we could go either way on. I guess you have to Google Manhattan distance. Yeah, the formula is a little more complicated than I told you because if you're dealing with negative coordinates, you end up taking the absolute value of like the difference between the. Basically, you calculate the difference between one coordinate and another coordinate, and then you take the absolute value of that difference, and that's the Manhattan distance. Y-ish sorting, yeah, it's the concept of Y sorting, but it's applied to our 3-dimensional block space. And we'll use that to address things like crew members running around that need to appear in front of and behind different things. And it means some things will need to be compound textures or faces, right? Like a door. Like when we open our door, the back part of the door and the front part of the door are different and would have different sorting and appear either before or behind different things. But for the static background, none of this is a problem, so we're not going to think about this right away. We're just going to handle the simple case, which is we're just going to iterate through our block space and draw things in their Manhattan distance order. A door. Abel, Nix, yeah, I see you. So at the moment, we could do all of this with one canvas item. I don't think we should. So here's the full spectrum of options in terms of canvas items. We could draw all of this to a single canvas item. But that means that when we need to make any change, we need to call Q redraw on that canvas item, and that means that whole canvas item will be redrawn. And that's expensive, relatively. We could go the other extreme. So the one extreme is there's one canvas item for everything being drawn in the environment. Yiddish sorting, Arneo. Not quite. Y-ish is the different. But the other, okay, so that's one extreme. One canvas item for all the drawing for the environment. We're not going to do that, obviously, because that's obviously wrong. The other extreme is one canvas item for every single block or face. That's overkill. And I don't want to do that either. I don't think that'll actually work very well. So we're gonna aim for some kind of mid ground at first, which I think is at the moment going to be a canvas item for each of these quote unquote Z indexes. So here there's 10. There's 10 of these Z indexes. And so I think, so for a 4x4x4 block space, you'd have a 10 Z indexes, which would be 10 canvas items, which is reasonable. If we scale this up, so we get 10 because it's 4 plus 3 plus 3. So it's, 4 blocks, then 3 blocks, and then 3 more blocks. It's like the number of steps it takes to traverse the grid. Only moving in one axis direction at a time. So for a 64 by 64 by 64 grid, I think that would be 190 canvas items, because it would be 64 plus 63 plus 63, which is pretty reasonable. That's actually very close to the number of tile map layers we were working with before. So I think that's acceptable to me. Okay, Nanigans has a real definition of Manhattan distance. Distance locked to a specific axis rather than a direct line. Yeah. I.e. the distance takes you to drive from point A to point B in Manhattan using city blocks. Yeah, city blocks. That's why it's called Manhattan distance. It's like the opposite of as the crow flies, which is like a direct line through, assuming there are no obstacles, right? Yeah, that's the kind of way we're measuring distance here. Doing it tied to your Z index also lets you do interesting things with the cutaway system. Potentially. I actually was thinking about that last night. I was like, what if we have a canvas item for each like room? If we're going to be doing a room-based cutaway system, we might eventually head in that direction of doing either one or more canvas items tied to compartments instead of tying it to arbitrary Z distance. Because then it might be easier to just turn off and on certain canvas items to handle cutaways instead of redrawing everything. We'll have to try that. These are things that I'm not gonna prejudge. These are things that we are going to wait, we're going to try them, and then we will measure the performance and we will make a choice based on that. This is something that for me to prejudge, it would be mostly guesswork. But I think this is a fine start. And I think it would give us a nice middle ground to test, because we can try either extreme from there. So this is what we're gonna do. So the first thing to do, I guess, is to set up our canvas items. Arneo, Manhattan distance. Distance without scary irrational square roots of 2. That's a definition. Nanigans could just make a shape into the canvas item and potentially draw the border tiles again. Doing different canvas items per room could get complex if rooms share walls, etc. True. I guess they do share walls. They share walls, but there's very consistent rules about removing the foreground walls. So the foreground walls for a room would belong to the canvas layer, canvas item of the room in front of it, assuming there's a room in front of it. Otherwise, it would belong to the canvas item of like the exterior of the ship. I think it could work. I think there could be interesting things there. But yeah, you're right. The shared wall thing is something that has to be thought of. I mean, we could still have a canvas item per compartment and still do some custom drawing stuff where we like hide certain things within the canvas tile or the canvas item. We'll have to see. We'll have to see whether it looks better, because part of the reason we're moving away from the tile map layer thing is that we were having problems just controlling visibility through either turning visibility on or off or modulating it away. That didn't work so great. We'll see. Sorry, I have like those things that are just like, I have like stuff in my eye. I think the technical medical term is an eye goober. I hate when those things harden and just like poke your eye. Hey, Jacob, what's up? What's up, Jacob? How's it going? All right, so all that to say, let's lay some groundwork, I guess. Let's get something drawing, right? Let's get something drawing this week. So I kind of changed. So I have a new thing. So we don't have, as far as I'm concerned, we don't have these block space, block tier, and block face tile map layer objects anymore. I'm thinking of it in terms of tile mosaics now. That's my term for it. I think that's kind of neat. And it helps me because we're not referring to something that could be, it's a little ambiguous. But I think we call it a mosaic. It's pretty clear it's our own thing we got going. How goes it? It goes. We're working on a new rendering process. So instead of all this stuff, what I want to talk about, or what I want to have here, I still want to have the tile map layer game board because that's what we use for input processing. But underneath it, we'll have an instance of this tile mosaics. Thing here. I don't know if I need to say tile mosaics because I feel like a mosaic is inherently tile based, but whatever. Might just have a mosaic that consists of layers or something like that. Depends on how I think about this stuff. Well, whatever. Let's not get bogged down in naming things, as I want to do. I'm very often just naming things to death. So we do need to... So we don't actually need to set the z-index of these tile mosaics because they're going to be drawn in tree order, which is neat. There's nothing even here in this tile mosaic yet. It's just an empty node 2D. That's one thing I got to work out, which is how we're going to send over the information about how you're going to draw the things in the mosaic. Because we need to have, like, we need to know what texture we want to draw. We need to know where we want to draw it. So I think there's going to be some kind of texture registry on the Godot side that we can reference. Is this for the new pack data stuff? Yeah, we're going to not do it with tile map layer. We're going to try to do it using custom draw calls to the canvas items. It's going well for you, Jacob. You're just making sure you didn't break the game before you upload a new version. That is I would say, an important part of implementing a new version. So we'll put a mosaic here. And this will be mosaic 0. And 1. So these are going to draw over. The children will be drawn last. So this is fine. We can rely on... We currently can rely on, actually, I'm not going to do it like this because that's insane. So tile mosaics, put that there, and then we work here. Scenes are our friend. Scenes are good. Do this here. And we're going to make 190 of these. I could just have a tool script that did this, but luckily I just need to hit Control D 180 times, 189 times. What's the gain with ditching tile map? Hopefully a lot. Hopefully a lot of performance. And the other hope is that we'll have a unified rendering process that works for characters as well as... I'm hoping it'll work for characters as well as environmental objects, because we weren't going to be able to render our characters that way anyway. But I'm hoping because of all our gameplay data and all our simulation objects and everything don't exist in the scene tree, this will just be a lot cleaner. Can I just hold Control D? No, I cannot. For like ordering, there should be a bunch of advantages. One of them is ordering. Something working on the map editor in Godot episode 512. You're not your prophecy is coming truer every day, Nix. We only need 190 of these. That was too many. There we go. Easy. This should also keep the scene tree very stable, which I like as an idea. Wouldn't it be 206? Would it? It's 64 plus 63 plus 63. Based on our little diagram here. Because it's essentially the number of steps between the minimum position and the maximum position, but only changing one coordinate at a time. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 being 10, because we count from 0. Oh, you meant the episodes left until 512. You said 190. Yeah, I'm talking about Canvas items. I'm not talking about episodes. Episode 512 is about a year away, based on my approximate schedule for streaming these. Arneo, it's a symbolic change. All tire layers are rendered into a single layer of glorious unity. Don't talk about unity. We don't talk about unity here. This is a Godot stream. No, we're not going to do one. It's conceivable that we could render everything to a single. I know you're joking, but it's possible to render it all to a single thing, and we're not going to do that. All right, so we have this thing. We have the tile mosaics. Honestly, I might make this singular and make the other things layers. I'm calling it a tile mosaic is good. Actually, this might just be tile layer. Yeah, we have to think about this, about how we want to do this, or even how we want to name it. But this is what we're going to start with. The game is going to need to know about this, so we'll say tile mosaics equals 6. We'll plug that in here. Oh, I need to make a variable for it. Every day I feel like we're abusing the Godot engine more and more. So we'll plug that in here. Hey, Magoo, how's it going? It's all right. We're doing some exciting stuff this week. Trying a different rendering process. Hope it's going well. Arneo, you forgot Unity's a swear word here. Oh yeah, a layer of individualism. That's what we want to hear. Rugged individualism. I had an idea for a game that I don't think I could do, but I really want someone to make it. Specifically, I want someone who's Canadian to make it, because I think you'd have to be Canadian to make this game. That's not a denigrating thing. Yeah, I'm talking about the Northwest Passage. I've been listening to Stan Rogers a lot for some reason the last few days. I blame a friend of mine. Though you need no excuse to listen to Stan Rogers. But I was just thinking about Northwest Passage and how cool it would be to make a survival game about, like, trying to find Franklin's lost expedition. in like the wildlands of the north. It'd be so good. You could have it be like a roguelike. You could have it be run-based, where like a lot of times your expeditions themselves will lead into failure. And then you launch another expedition to go try to recover that expedition. There's some really great stuff you could do with the Northwest Passage game. But I can't make it because I'm a Californian, so I feel like I shouldn't be trying to make a game about, you know, Canadian history. But it sounds awesome. You love working in Unity, okay, you blurb that out. I'm hoping it's Godot. Better be Godot and not Unity, or someone's gonna get timed out. No, I don't care. Use the engine you want to use. If you're a Unity developer and you've had a hard time switching to Godot or trying Godot, I would say confront your Stockholm Syndrome and give it another try. CanvasItem drawing system. So here's our new drawing system that we're going to use. It uses our texture atlas format, which we made. So what do we need to do? Let's look at the tile drawing system. So the tile drawing system builds out a buffer for each of those tiles. You're pushing my buttons here, Jacob. You're very lucky that Unity and Godot are both 5-letter words. All right, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads, people. It's whatever you want to believe. Yeah, there you go. Arnio, you're going to try your best not to work tonight. You might distract Dave while you play MTG. There you go. There you go. Yeah, today is my one day I don't have like a co-working event. So tonight's going to be my kickback. Watch a movie. I don't know what movie I want to watch. Last Wednesday, it was the original version of Clash of the Titans. I say original. I think it's the original. It was like the Harry Hamlin version from the 80s. That was fun. We'll see what I watch tonight. All right, so I think we can do all of this. We can forget about cutaway blocks for now. But I think we're going to have like an occluded blocks. I also need something for like cutout. I need to come up with a way to describe a tile that doesn't fully block tiles behind it. I wonder if I want to track whether a tile is occluded or whether a tile occludes others. Probably be better to record a tile that occludes others. Here's another thing I was thinking about. If this is just how we're doing this, if we're just doing it based on this camera Z index thing, and we need to support characters that might be at, because right now the nice thing is all these tiles are at like a solid, they're all at integer coordinates, but a character that's moving around would be at like a floating point coordinate within the tile. And I was thinking we probably, if we don't have that many tiles to draw, we could probably just make a list and like sort them by their Z distance to the camera. And it would be stupid, but I honestly think it would kind of work and not be that bad. Nanigans, well, with Godot being available as a library now, you should theoretically be able to make a Unity plugin that embeds Godot into Unity. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself and think about too many of these advanced use cases. And just get something simple up. Get back. I want to at least get back to where we were as soon as possible. I want to get back to an equivalent spot. So I should probably not try to do anything fancy here with these tileset atlas index buffers. I don't know why I call them tileset atlas index buffer. I guess it is the index in the tileset atlas that we store, kind of. Length, width, height. Okay. 256. Okay, length is just like the total size. That's confusing. Format.xtiles across. Format.xtiles down. I think I'll store it as like... I don't know. How did I call this? I called this the xface tile count. I called this the xface tile size. This is the xface tile coords. So the size is a vector 2, and the count is a vector 2. Why is the count a vector 2? Shouldn't the count just be an int? Xface tile count. Oh, it's 8 by 6. I see. And then the size is 16 by 12. Okay, no, that's correct. That's correct. Hey, dang good games. How's it going? What's up? Yo. Oh yeah, Void War got pulled. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I was looking at that. I think they got trolled because they got pulled by one Malcolm Reynolds. Yeah, how's it been? How's it been? We're working on a new rendering process. We're trying to ditch tile map layer in favor of just custom draw calls into CanvasItem, which I think is going to be pretty neat. So why do I never use this version of the constructor where I pass in a buffer ID? Why does it claim that I never use this? Xcomp, add buffer component. Because I guess we don't need to. What does add buffer component do? We get an ID, right? At some point. Buffer ID equals add buffer. So we add it to the comp. Oh, so we like literally never need to do that. Interesting. Still shows up in your Steam. Yeah, I think you can still play it. It's just been pulled from the store. Jacob, when I switched from Unity to Godot, how much ramp up time was there? I'd say it was usable within a few months. And I would say I wasn't like natively quote unquote thinking in terms of Godot, like especially with the node. I've had people literally tell me they prefer Unity's component model to Godot's node model, which is insane to me. That feels like deep Stockholm syndrome. If you prefer Unity's crazy weird prefab scene system to Godot's everything's a node is a scene is a node. Yeah, it was harder for me to think in those terms early on for sure. But I feel like you could be fully up and comfortable in Godot, especially if you practice with like maybe a game jam or two. I feel like you could be comfortable in like less than a year. Like, and you could be using it in a few months. I would say well. I don't know. It's a good question. Hey, Packer B, how's it going? What's up? Arnio, if you're going to watch a movie you haven't seen, it would be one battle after another. Maybe Begonia for a well-reviewed one. Or something more crowd-pleasing. Maybe Furiosa. Oh, yeah, the prequel for... How's it going, Dan? Good. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably pick a movie that I already have a Blu-ray for. I've been really not happy with like streaming quality. I've been watching Fallout on streaming, and there's some issues with like the encoding. I'm really just much happier watching like a Blu-ray or something, even though I know the Blu-ray is technically lower quality. But yeah, I'm probably gonna watch an old movie, not a new movie. I watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit last weekend. My girlfriend, we went to a party that was in a movie theater. It was good. That's a good movie. Rhiannon, you tried Unity like 5-6 different times. You can never get comfortable in it. Godot just clicked almost immediately. Yeah, I think it depends. I think it depends on like what you've learned and what you're used to for sure. Hacker, it took you about 12 months to get confident in Godot from Unity, but you focused in on specific systems. Oh, but focused in on specific systems, it was only a month or 2. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a big difference between it being usable versus like you being comfortable with it. If you're used to certain things in Unity, it's going to be harder. Like if you're used to like the asset library, like the incredibly wide, large marketplace in Unity, Godot's is certainly not as well developed because, you know, there isn't like a paid store yet. But I feel like if you're like me and you kind of, like a plugin is like the last resort and you like doing everything yourself, I think you can get up to speed on Godot pretty quickly. So I have these as separate buffers. I don't love that. I can't think of a better way to do that. So I think I'm just gonna recreate this structure and just not worry about it. I'm gonna try. We'll fix it if we want to at some point. But let's not reinvent the wheel for all of this stuff. Let's just take some of these buffer components and. There was another thing, an idea I had, which is if we're able to do some of this rendering the way I'm thinking about it, we won't really need to store quite as much stuff in spatial buffers as I was thinking. Like crew members, like movable agents, they probably can just be entities with like component entities. They probably don't need to be entries in a spatial buffer. Because if we're going to put everything into a list and then sort it, we can process them in any order. We don't care. All right, so I'm going to start duplicating these, assuming that's something I can do. This is, instead of a tile set atlas index buffer, this is going to be a tile set atlas. This is going to be a texture atlas index buffer. It's confusing, but let's not worry about that right now. I get diverted so easily. Where I'm like, oh, before we update this system, let's work on this thing and then that thing, and like gets out of control so quickly. I don't think so. Instead of length, width, and height, we're gonna store vector 2i counts. These are properties, right? Counts, vector 2i, size. Actually, it's just gonna be count and size. I'm sure I'll never mix that up, he says. Not confidently. Jacob, that's the big thing with you. You have a lot of momentum with Unity currently. You've been using it a long time. Yeah, I understand that can be really disruptive. My general advice is like, finish. If you're working on a big project, finish your big project. I mean, unless you're mega crit, don't try to like, you know, just redo it in Godot. You might have a hard time. But I feel like if you're starting a new project, give it a chance. Give Godot a chance. You know? All right, we need to fix the component flags issue. I need a better way to organize my components. I'm really unpleased with displeased with how I'm handling this. Shouldn't texture be early? Whatever, who cares? We're gonna delete those as soon as we're done. I admit my component system is pretty horrible. Hey, Corolla. I know, right? It's annoying that Godot and Unity are both 5-letter words. Godot 4.6 was released. Yeah, the first 30 minutes of the stream, I was just looking at the change list. They're like cool. They have a really great highlight page that they always put out. All right, so we did the flags. Now we need to do the types, which is so dumb. Ignore everything that I'm doing here. I'm really not happy with how I have this organized. Maybe someday we'll have something better. Arneo, in maybe 7 to 8 months. You're maybe 7 to 8 months in with your Godot journey. You can check the spam from, it's not spam, from the Share Your Work channel in the Discord. See what you've been able to do in that time. You've been able to do incredible things in that time with no background in programming, Arneo. Your game is so cool. Yeah, we have a Discord. People are interested. If they're new to Godot and they want help, or they just want to share what they're working on, or whatever. Unity users are welcome. Just know that you will be, you might be in for a light ribbing every once in a while. You know? We have a lot to do this week, but please know that I feel like I'm not sleeping enough. I feel like I'm not at my tippity top here. But we're doing our best. There's a lot to do this week. This is going to be an exciting week. I feel like I've been getting really good momentum with the stream, especially on YouTube. Appreciate everyone over there hanging out. We gotta bring value to the people. That's what we gotta be doing. That's what we gotta focus on. But yeah, if I seem distracted or I'm looking for excuses to not get things done, that's why. Boy, enough new line nonsense. All right, we got that. We just need, what's going on here? Interface, length. Oh, you need, oh. I messed this up. I can't store it like this. I still need to implement a length value. Because it's a buffer and it needs to know how long it is, and it's long. How long is it though? It's just the count X times count Y, yeah? Why does it say 256? Why does the other one say its length is 256? Why is this the case here? Add buffer count. For I is 0, I is less than whatever. This is this. The x buffer coords.x plus. Oh, because it's based on the value of this index. The largest value here is 3. Hey, Commander Apollo, how's it going? Sleep is for the weak. My body has started to revolt. Like, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, my body just won't wake up anymore. It's just like, I don't care. I'm in charge. All right, so what's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3? $81. Oh, no, it's not that. It's 3 times. So what's 3 times 64? 192. 3 times 16. 48. 3 times 4 is 12. So it's 48 plus 192 plus 16. What? I didn't do that right. Oh, 3 times 4 is 12 plus 4. So technically that's 256, but we're never going to hit. Why would we never hit the 256? Oh, because that's not 4, it's 3. Okay, so yeah, 255. So this is an arbitrary value. 256, 256, 16. Is there a way to know this? Ugh. I guess we could just ask what's... No, we can't do that either. Here, I'm going to change this format. We're going to have a length, and it's just 256. It's going to be hard-coded. I don't like that. I don't know how we're going to determine that in some cases, but, you know, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. And then here for the size, I'm tempted to just make this a vector 4. X-face tile size. Well, no. I could say dimensions. I don't really want to do that. Maybe we'll have count and we'll have length, X-face, tile, count, plural. And that'll be 8 by 6 here. This needs to be like X face. This is more like not the tile length. This is more like the buffer. This is like buffer. We're going to have the counts. Maybe we'll have tile region. I don't know if region is the right word. I have this whole format arranged for when this is for this being a tile map deal. It looks like maybe we'll make some changes to this in terms of formatting, but I'm not gonna. Again, I don't want to do it now. trying hard not to do this stuff until I have a better idea about some of the requirements. Oh no, we already did the buffer. We need the counts now. All right, this seems fine. The Z face tile buffer is only 16. So there are no edge pieces there. So the Z face tile counts is 4 by 4. And the Z face tile region is 32 by 8. Why sleep when you have iced coffee energy drink? Speaking of which, I need some water here. I'm good, Apollo. How are you doing? Hey, I Heart Pandas. Happy hump day. Indeed. How are you doing? How are you doing, pandas? All right. I think this works for now. I'll have to rethink this in the future. We'll always need some kind of translation layer because our auto-tiler coords aren't going to work for mapping to... Maybe they could work. Maybe the auto-tiling coordinates could be directly mapped to a tile atlas. The auto-tiler coordinates are 4-dimensional, but that's actually not that hard. If anything, I would just need a mapping from the 4-dimensional coordinate down to a 2-dimensional coordinate. There would be, I guess the reason I'm not doing it is it wouldn't be tightly packed. And this translation lets me tightly pack the texture atlases. Because the auto-tiler coordinates aren't, they're like sparse. And I have a diagram for it. I don't want to look at it. It's kind of horrible. But what I say appears to be true. Okay, so it can't be count, and it can be count region. We need to have vector 2i length. It's not a vector 2i, Dave. It's an int. Funky. Everyone's having a fine day. We're halfway through the week. You gotta do some homework. Have a good stream. No worries. Thanks, Apollo. Thanks for hanging out. Pandas, you're all right. You got a delay in your plans. Now you're playing the waiting game. The waiting game sounds fun. Is it made in Godot or Unity? It's a good question. I would say the waiting game is a Unity game. Because unlike in Godot, if you want to make a change to the Unity engine, you just have to wait. But in Godot, you could just be like, I'm gonna contribute this. Like the vibe when you're waiting on an issue to be resolved in Godot versus Unity is so different. I remember being on the Unity forums, which is just full of people just upset. about blockers that they had no control over. And obviously there are workarounds, but you know, so I don't think I need this constructor. I'm going to ignore that. Oh, because it's got an init here. Yeah, so I don't need that constructor. Interesting. All right, this should be fine. So now I can just make 2 copies of this for the other 2, and I think I'm good. Just make sure I copy everywhere. It's an Unreal asset flip set in a white void. Polar bear and a snowdrift. Well, I hope you're having... I know waiting sucks, but I hope you're chilling. You know, there are times to go fast and there are times to go slow. Life has taught me to really appreciate the moments when it's going slow. You have to play the Burning Crusade when it comes out. Oh, like Classic? Is Classic going the Burning Crusade? Has that not happened yet? Very soon. Feb 5th. Oh, yeah, that's soon. That's soon. That's what, like next Thursday? Wow. Yeah, that sounds like an easy way to burn some time. All right, I think I did that all correctly. So I think we have a new texture buffer format thing. So I should be able to just take these. Move that over here. Oh, I guess I got to take all of this. We got to define our buffers. I don't love this, but I'm going to do it. How can I not use a null reference exception? There we go. Okay, so these are not tile set atlas formats. These are what I'm just calling texture atlas formats. Oi. Oh no, obviously you can't convert that. We'll just hold on to this here. I'll change all of these. I know I could use rename. I know these things. So what the heck is this? Class name is not valid at this point. So what was this? Oh, that's the name of the... entity. Hey, Nanigans. You're very tempted to increase the complexity of how your tiles work. Why? Why would you want to purposely increase the... So wait, hold on. For variable I equals 0, I is less than format.xtileChords.length. Oh, could I just make it that? No, that doesn't make sense. Wait, so is this buffer? Hold on a second. Hang on a second. Is this buffer like mostly empty? That I don't love. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's like one buffer. But it looks like I'm using a buffer to sparsely store information. I don't think I want to do that. I want to come up with a different format system. But again, we pick our battles. Let's pick our battles. So we're going to say .x. So here we can say format.x tiles. Why don't you know more about this? Wait, where's this format thing defined? Right there. Okay, format, we'll say .x space tile length. Why don't you know about this? I think I have to do something here. X face tile chords. X face tile region. It's coords counts format.x face tile counts. Coords counts region length. Coords counts region. Yeah, we want something else here. So we can just say length. We can actually just say xcomp dot length. We can similarly say xcomp. Oh wait, can we? Can we say? We get a component back. Yeah, so we can say. Oh, but we can't access. We would say xbuff. Do I need the I? The I is only being used. I could do a for each, I think. Hey, Arneo. Brandon Sanderson might have just gotten an Apple TV deal for Stormlight Archive and Mistborn. Ooh. Cool. All right, okay. Here's the Nanigans. Here's the Nanigans update. Hold on. What do we got going on here? Long story short, right now your tiles are each 64 by 64 voxels pixels. And if you want to draw a border between them, you need to make it at least 2 pixels wide. Or you need to bias the border so it's on one tile or the other. I see. You're tempted to give the tiles a 1 pixel gap between tiles and make pieces that glue those tiles together, and then you can have walls that encroach all the tiles evenly. From an art direction point of view, it's much nicer. From an implementation point of view, it sounds like many layers of headaches. You think you've convinced yourself not to go down that route, but it's tempting. Yeah, that can be frustrating.
She's got a lot of talent there.
That can definitely be frustrating.
I was a model back in Texas.
That's like the, do you have a tile at the origin, or do you have a tile like in between coordinates? Like,
There'll be no more distractions.
I feel like anytime you add some kind of 1 pixel or 1 whatever offset when you're dealing with this stuff, it's annoying. What is this song? I don't like whatever that sound was. Arneo over on YouTube. here to assist Nanigans. I don't really see the problem of the 2 pixel border. I think if anything, I like 2 pixel borders. That's nice. That sounds nice and thick. All right, I don't know why this isn't working. It probably wants me to build something, but I'm not gonna be able to build it. Did I mess these up somehow? Length counts region. We don't store the coords because that would be insane. Oh, it's the format. Xtile. So, oh yeah, I have to fix this. Oops. Oopsies. So public int xface tile buffer. X-face tile cowards. X-face tile counts. All right, so we're just making our texture format readable here so that we can convert from the auto tiler. No, our the auto tiler's internal representation of how it thinks about, you know, man, does this even matter? Because we're not actually, we need to pass the region. We need to pass in the region of the texture that we want to draw. But we actually need, this is the part where I'm a little confused about how I want to do this. Godot will take a texture 2D when you make the draw call. Let's open up that. Let's open up the CanvasItem thing because that's what we're talking about. CanvasItem. Just visually, if you're wanting to draw your grid lines, you want them subtle. They would just be for the editor. They would be used in the game as well to visually highlight the grid. Yeah, I think that would be fine. Think about it as like a if it's like a semi-transparent overlay. You said your tiles are 64 by 64. I think that's fine. Like, what's the difference? The difference is like, I'm putting you on the spot. You're on the spot. We're putting you on the spot, Nanigans. So here's like a 64 by 64 tile. So like a single pixel stroke is like this. But your thing is that you don't want it to be like, you don't like what it would look like if it was like this. I tend to like this kind of look, because then what you would get is you would get double thick outlines inside, and then the outside of the arrangement would be single thick outlines, right? I kind of like this. This is the same kind of thing that you see with my tiles, which is that around the outside of the tile block space, it's all single pixel outlines, right? But inside the tile block space, it's all double thick outlines, right? Assuming that there are other blocks there. Like if we start taking away blocks. Well, we get the double thick outline because it has to do with faces matching up, not blocks per se, but I like this. I like this aesthetic. I would encourage you to do it this way because it's simple. Doesn't need any padding or weird stuff. Yeah, I prefer this sort of thing. I think. If I was to do it, I would do it like this. I like this. I think proportionally this is nice. But what do I know? What you can talk me out of, Arneo, is trying to someday do this with like pure shaders. All this crazy shit that I'm trying. Nanigans, you're not gonna have the shape outline in the same manner as it gets more complex with 3D, but you think you'll do the double outline on the texture, at least for now. Yeah. Yeah, I know your case is more complicated because you have meshes and stuff, but like All right, so if we go down here, we look at, I think the function we're most interested in is draw texture rect region. I think this is going to be our bread and butter here. And this takes a texture 2D. This being Godot, the texture 2D is passed by reference. Right? It registers an image in the video hardware. So these are already, so if I have a texture 2D, it's like, it's already been registered in the hardware, yeah? Texture 2D is a base for other resources. It cannot be used directly. What's that mean? What do you mean it can't be used directly? So I need one of these other things? Like a compressed texture or I guess I could use like what's an atlas texture? I don't feel like I would need this because CanvasItem will already takes a region, draws a textured rectangle from a textures region specified by source rect at a given position in local space, optionally modulated by a color. Transpose is true. Texture will have its X and Y coordinates swapped. Style boxes, textures, and meshes stored only inside local variables should not be used with this method in GDScript because the drawing operation doesn't begin immediately once this method is called. In GDScript, when the function with the local variables ends, local variables gets destroyed before the rendering takes place. Do we want to maybe call this stuff directly from C# for some reason? I mean, that notes thing is obvious. Just wondering. I feel like what I want to do is I want to just have a list of textures that are like registered. And I just want to refer to it in C# by like some kind of index. And then when we get back to the when we get back to the Godot side to do the actual rendering calls, we just do a lookup for that texture in some kind of texture registry that we maintain. Because we'll need something like that for modding, for some kind of mod loader. Like, we'll need to be able to associate and register textures. Nanigans, you're going to apply a noise-based texture on the world space position to change the intensity of the grid lines in a non-repetitive manner. Ooh, yeah, that'll look nice. That'll look nice. I need to look a little bit more about how we're going to get this texture. Hold on to it. Like here. So like let's add a reference to the game. Well, let's fix this part first. Let's fix all this stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say X face tile buffer. Cannot resolve primary constructor. Candidates are int 2i 2i. Oh wait, why? Yeah, I don't need to put the coords in here. What am I doing? What are we doing, chat? The answer is I don't know. So we actually need format. X face tile coords. Yeah, I don't love that this is being sparsely stored. I probably want to do something else. Honestly, the drawing system could probably have its own understanding of how these formats are mapped, and I probably don't need to relying on one of our component buffers is probably the wrong approach. I just used it because it was easy. But you know, that is not always the best reason to do something. We'll fix the errors associated with this, and then I want to look at how we're going to keep track of and manage these textures. I mean, for right now, it's maybe a little simpler because, well, I could make one that's like all of them. Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Also, Y face tile counts. Y face tile region. Did I name this wrong? Y face tile counts. Y face tile region. Z face tile buffer. Z face tile board. Z face tile counts. Z face tile region. Okay. Why are you fighting with me on this? Oh. Oh, this one's an and. Why do you want to? Oh, because I never actually changed these. No, I did. What's happening here? Oh, this still says tile set. Yeah, this is the wrong way to store this stuff, I have decided. But we're going to do it this way because it's what we've got set up. And we'll figure it out later. Let's actually do it like this. Well... No, yeah. It's not xcomp.length. Oops. Format.z face tile buffer. How many days until we're able to draw something, do we think? It's probably not today, but I really hope by Friday or Saturday we're drawing this stuff again. Okay, so why is this? Oh, same problem. Okay, this will build a similar structure. Z-face tile coords. Why is that a vector 4? Oh, because I just copied things over because I'm dumb. This is 2i. All right, now I got to look at the actual conversion system, maybe? Maybe not. I guess the conversion is automatic based on the definitions for the vector stuff. JSON's pretty easy. Pretty easy to use. Pretty nice. All right. Okay, good. So we got our formats. Our formats are being recorded and converted into a more useful... I'm not going to use the word format twice, but, you know. It's being put into a buffer right now, which I think is wrong. I think eventually I'll want like maybe a dictionary for these. I don't know. I don't want to store a bunch of those. But it is only used by the CanvasItem drawing system, so maybe there will be some reason to do it that way. All right, so now we get to run. And so we'll need to clear this. Yeah, hulls dot clear. So this is like not zoomed in. This is more like what we normally have, right? Sorry that I think I zoomed out when I was working on my own. This is more like what we would have. You'd be drawing a line between two 64 by 64 textures. Yeah, I would just offset it inward, right? Or outward. Outward would be fine, but I feel like I'd be tempted to always offset it inward by... Is that not a good option? Like I would always, I feel like I'd be tempted to draw the outline inside of whatever the selection was, rather than like on the boundary between what's inside and outside. I feel like I would offset one way or the other by that half a pixel. But I'm also not a good guesser. All right, so if we were to do this, excuse me. Okay, we need to get the block hull types first. That's pretty much a one-to-one copy. I don't think there's anything about this. And if anything, this is not an appropriate place to do this, really. This is something that should be stored somewhere more permanently. If anything, I don't really want to be manually setting the hull types. I would rather be painting the hull types. I don't want to have to, I guess. I guess the point is I don't want to have to paint the hull types. The hull types are whether we're like an inner wall or a middle or an outer wall or like one of the like interstitial spaces. Right now the editing system just figures that out for us, and I guess I want to keep doing that for a while. So we can take all this part. I don't know about doors. We need to think about doors. Doors are going to be a great test of this new rendering system. Doors are always a great test of these sorts of things. So this, I feel like I can copy quote-unquote lock stock. Yeah, you think that's what you settle on doing, is doing the 1 pixel outline all around a tile, which means a 2 pixel border together. Yeah, okay, I think that's reasonable. I guess that's the thing that I suggested, which is like keeping each outline within each grid rather than trying to like straddle two. I think it'll look good. I think you'll be pleased with the look. I don't know. I didn't think I'd like it when I got rid of my single outlines. Like when I switched from doing this single outline look to like the double, thought it would look weird at first, but I actually think it's quite proportional. And I'm doing it at a grossly low resolution, which I think actually makes it look much chunkier and weirder. That's fun to do. It's fun to just drag over and like alter these layers. Block tier count. Block tier count. I guess it's okay to call it a tier. I don't know if I'm going to continue to use that term. For now, I'll keep using it. Actually, I kind of want to do it by... What do I call it here? I call it like board. .z, game.board.z. I'm gonna say that instead, actually. For z is, because I don't want to maintain this constant here if it's a static somewhere else. Game.board.z. Oh wait, can I not? Oh, game.board. Oh yeah, I guess this isn't the best. It would be game.board.size.z. No, we succeeded in talking Nanigans off of the cliff. You think you were talked off the ledge before even? Yeah, that's funny. I think you talked yourself off of this ledge before you even started, but you know. Happy to do so anytime. All right, so the next thing, this is the big chunky thing, which is set tile map layer data. So we're gonna need to send. So here's the thing that we're gonna be ultimately doing, right? We are gonna be collecting data about the individual tiles that we actually want to draw. We're going to be collecting information about them. One is like what texture is it used, and that will be some kind of index for like a registry. We'll have like a texture ID or something like that. We'll have some kind of texture ID. There'll be a rect. This rect is where in the canvas items local space the thing is positioned. Oh, hold on. I want this one. I was like, wait, what's this? What's tile bool? What does tile bool mean? Oh, it's like if it should tile across. Interesting. Yeah, we want tile texture rect region. So we get the texture. We need a texture ID. That's kind of like our old source ID back when we were using tile maps. It's similar to a source ID, but it's a little different now. But it is very similar. The problem, here is the problem. I also need to store the origin, which is like where the... I have to think about how I want to do this. Because this is how we're storing the block data, right? We store it like this. Not the block data. This is how we store the texture. I say here, and then I'm struggling to find it, but it is somewhere here. Block template, please? Anywhere? Anyone? No? Okay, I'll find it. So here's like our block template. This is like how we store texture data. Ignore the weird inverted look. So if we're going to store it like this, then we also need... Then we also need to record like the offset of where in here. So like X starts at like the top left, but then Y starts down here, and then Z starts way down here. I wonder... I wonder if there's a better way to do this. I mean, I'm sure there is. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there is. I don't know how much we need to care about storing these things efficiently. But yeah, so we need like an origin, which is like an offset in the texture where that starts, right? guess I need to include that information. So this starts at 128.9190. This starts at 0.72, and then this one starts at 144. Makes sense. All right, we need another thing in this format. Public vector 2i x face tile origin get in it. Hey, Nix. Big news. Your mod is looking more and more complete. Now you're able to dynamically change the zombies' sizes, too. Ooh. Sadly, the seed generator for the weight you have now is non-deterministic. They'll also have a different size when a user reloads the game. That doesn't seem like a big deal. You need to check how much more VRAM your mod uses as you're directly modifying the VBO to morph bodies and clothing. You're almost there. That's awesome. Yeah, the Project Zomboid mod you're working on is really cool. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about having variable sizes for zombies. That makes me think of Mementos, which you can read about it in the data-oriented design book and probably elsewhere, but if you think about a game like Grand Theft Auto, you don't really care. You only really care about something's consistency as long as it is taking up a portion of your attention. So like GTA is pretty good about this, about like things are consistent for as long as they're like holding your attention, but as soon as they do anything that like brings them out of your attention or like you can't see them anymore or anything, they're like, they might not even exist there anymore. Or they might, if you look at them again, they might be different. And it seems like a fine line, but it seems like there's a lot of stuff you can do where it doesn't really matter. But that sounds great. It still sounds great. All right, so now we need to store the origin, which we've decided is for you. Xface tile origin is going to be 0, 0. Yface tile origin is 0.72. And then the Z-face tile origin is 0.144. And so our little format things need to be updated. I can't see this anymore. This is also getting too long. I don't know if Pandas is still there, but oh no, I mentioned this to you. I mentioned to you that I started using a trackball at work. It's funny. I like it. I'm getting used to it. It's a thumb trackball. It's one of these things. It's nice. It's nice at work because I find a lot of times I get into these weird wrist positions when I'm using a regular mouse. If I'm doing subtle movements, it doesn't happen with a trackball. You don't get into these weird, subtle wrist positions that are uncomfortable. It's pretty great. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. Let's just do that everywhere. It's a little nicer to look at. right, Nanigans. Technically, everything about computers is deterministic. It's just that there's an eventual level of obscurity that you can't see, let alone control, to be able to reliably repeat things. Most RNGs on computers will produce the exact same number if you run them again at the exact same point in time with your computer running in the exact same state each time. Yeah, right. So I feel like your point is like, you know, if you take entropy out of the equation, it's not a problem. Or I guess it's like background entropy. That's funny. I really want to get this we really need to get this project into a state where it's where our work becomes much more visible. Like we spent so much time, just deep in the code doing stuff that like we get no feedback about. I really need to get to the point where we're doing a lot more visual stuff. We're like working on art, we're like working on like simulation stuff that we can see. I'm so ready to be done with this low level stuff. It'll be good for me to do something different. It'll be good for the channel, for our work to be a lot more visible, because that's definitely something I've noticed. People really like seeing the game in action, whereas, you know, when it's just me like this, spending the whole stream talking about nonsense and doing a bunch of non-visual like refactoring and stuff, it's like it's tough. So I appreciate everyone who's hanging tight here, hanging out with me during this. What I feel like we're gonna look back on this as a very quaint time in the stream before we've really got things moving. But I appreciate you. I appreciate all my day ones here. And every day we get some new day ones, you know. Appreciate you all. No, you're just having fun, Nanigans. I appreciate it. Next, it should be an easy fix to plus this way in multiplayer the zombies will look the same. That's true. That's an important consideration. Because if someone's talking about a zombie and they refer to them as that fat bastard, and the other player is like, "What do you mean?" They're like, I don't see like a huge zombie. I see like a tiny zombie or a skinny zombie. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. For consistency across multiple users, that's a really good reason to worry about that sort of thing. I never think about multiplayer. I would never want to have to make a multiplayer game. I mean, I would love to help design a multiplayer game if we had an actual network programmer on it. I'll never do one myself, is I guess what my point would be. Because I don't have a lack of ideas for multiplayer versions of some things, but doing something with, like, I think friend slop is a good example. Just such a weird term, but I love that genre so much, of like games that are just fun because it's just you and your friends. And it's usually in a very emergent kind of environment where you can kind of do whatever. You're imagining a bunch of overweight zombies on mobility scooters coming at you. That only happens if you break into the local Walmart and try to scavenge supplies. I'm sorry. Not all people of Walmart are like that. I don't want to... We don't denigrate groups of people on this channel very often. We try not to. Rule number 1, be excellent to each other. That should just be, you know, that's the golden rule. But sometimes you want to make a joke and it's really hard. Part of getting comfortable streaming has been me having to grow up and be mature and not say every fucking thing that comes to my mind. You know what? That's one of the harder things to do, especially when you're tired or you're focused on work. But it's super important, especially for someone like me who has a platform, and also someone like me who only belongs to majority demographics. You know, 30-something-year-old hetero white male over here. It's really easy for something I say to be taken away. Or taken, you know, not inaccurately, but if you don't believe me, it's fine, but I do genuinely intend the best. I don't always achieve the best, but I usually intend the best. Except for people that use ... Ah, you're killing me. You're killing me with your self-centered Unity Godot. Little engine comments, Jacob. Too funny. Too funny. There would be nothing scarier to me than like a version of Godot bot that just has like a Unity logo on its instead of his face. Shenanigans. Online multiplayer in itself isn't that hard. It can get significantly more complicated if it needs to be real time and in sync. Oh yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Because like you're saying, depending on what libraries, you can take advantage of a lot for you. Yeah, even Godot has a lot of synchronizer stuff that can make that actually pretty easy. Like I've seen that there's a copy of it. There's actually 2 copies of it online at Godot Fest and Godot Con. But the team that did the after the fact multiplayer implementation of Dome Keeper has a lot to say on that for Godot. So if anyone's got a game and they're like, this game might benefit from multiplayer, there's talks from GodotCon and Godot Fest about, it's like something about, let me see if I can, I'm not going to look for it, but there's some good talks from GodotCon and Godot Fest from the Dome Keeper team. Technically, it's from a contractor that the core team hired, but it seemed like a pretty crucial core, contractor. Arnio, you almost called them Walmart zombies on mobility scooters. You decided against it. Easier to be kind in text to have time to think about before you post. Yeah. Nix, you don't really have to worry about syncing your data. That's good. No. You're just playing. You're just playing, Jacob. I know. All right, here comes Rhiannon replying to a message from like an hour ago. I haven't ever read any Brandon Sanderson. I'm not a big fiction reader, which I feel like is a flaw of mine. Because so much stuff, especially in sci-fi, you know, you really can't. I know people try with like TV shows, but it's so expensive to make this stuff, like movies and TV, that like there's so much you can communicate in sci-fi. It's so much more easily from a book that I really shouldn't discount. I'm just not a big fiction reader. I don't know why. There's so many good stories that are 100% real and that I would love to make a game about. The one we talked about at the start of the stream, which is Franklin's Lost Expedition. Incredible real life story, including all the stories of the follow-up expeditions that tried to find them. So that one's amazing. If you go back a couple thousand years, you have Xenophon's, I'm not going to pronounce this word correctly, the Anabasis. The March Up Country is the English word for it. That's an incredible story. They're known as the 10,000. That story has a number of names, but like there's so many good historical stories that obviously, you know, are partly made up. Like you shouldn't trust everything Xenophon says about their own military campaign. But I should try. Maybe we'll have like, maybe I'll make a book club channel or something. Maybe that's part of our spoiler discussion areas. Maybe we need some. Maybe we need some more areas for people to share books and TV shows and things and discuss them. The community, the Discord is getting bigger. It's like there's messages there every day. Like I'm impressed. I appreciate all of you who've decided to like help build a little community in our little corner of the interweb. I hope this is always a place that you feel comfortable. As long as you don't use Unity. I'm sorry. I cannot resist. I cannot resist a few light jabs at Unity users. Arneo, Mistborn, and Stormlight, they're going to be tough to adapt. You'd think animation would make more sense. Branderson, is that the shortened name of the version of his name? That's fine. Oh, Rhiannon, you also think his stuff would be good as animation? We should ask the Critical Role animation team. Take a look at that. They do some good stuff. I haven't seen the Mighty Nine yet, but I actually, to be fair, haven't really seen the previous one, but animation's expensive too nowadays. Branderson's military sci-fi series reads like it was meant to be a game. Ooh. Not sure how else you'd come up with space fighters with grappling hooks. That is so wild. Who else remembers the like Reaver ship from like the Serenity film that had a grappling and would just create these crazy death spirals? No, it felt very physically real. Hey, Mardicus. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. All right, what am I doing? I don't remember. I think I've done all the reformatting stuff so that we have the origin of the texture that we care about. So what we're doing, similarly to how in the tile drawing system, we're preparing a bunch of data that we pack up into a primitive array that we can send over to Godot in one fell swoop, and in such a way that doesn't require unnecessary copies because of the managed barrier. I want to do something similar. For this. And then we'll have like a CanvasItem drawer that like goes wide with probably multi-threading. To actually do all the draw calls. Hopefully we don't even have enough draw calls to warrant multi-threading, but we probably will. If y'all like Mistborn and such, you highly suggest The Captain by Will Wright. Oh, Will White. I don't know why I said Will Wright. Hey, Push Toy. Rating. Hide the code. Hide the code. Hide everything. Hide it all. How's it going? Adrian Learns. Nanigans, you loved Mighty Nine. Vox Machina was good as well. They definitely improved upon it. Good. I was blown away by how fast the pacing of Vox Machina was, the show. I felt like they did a whole D&D campaign in like the first episode. I heard they take their time a little more with Vox Machina. How's it going? Hey, Push Toy, how's it going? What have you been up to? How was your stream? Big sleepy raid? That's fine with me. Yeah, this has been kind of a sleepy day. I've been trying to mask my low productivity mood by trying to talk a lot, which is a struggle. But yeah. Welcome in, Raiders. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. That's Twitch in a nutshell, like masking our desire to not be productive, our lack of will to be productive, and we're hiding it behind just an active chat. Yeah, that is very Twitch. Thank you for the follow, Adrian. Stream was a mess, mostly breaking and fixing things. Yeah, here, so for Raiders who don't know, we are working on like an isometric style of like the game FTL, Faster Than Light. It's going to be bigger. It's going to probably be a little more down tempo. In terms of it'll probably be a little slower. Maybe a little more rim worldy. And we're trying a new rendering approach. We were trying to do all of the environment with tile map layers, and it was a little slow. And when I sped it up with multi-threading, it became a little inconsistent. So we want to try something else here. What kind of stuff are you working on, Push Toy? I don't think I've caught one of your streams, really. So here's like a little buildable area. So we're working on the underlying block space, which is what we're going to use to like build these ships, you know, these spaces. It's like a 3D spaceship builder that appears in 2D. So we were using tile map layer for everything, and that's what this is. This is like a tile map layer solution where like we can draw stuff, and we have a ray casting, a quote unquote ray casting system that can figure out where we're drawing to, so we can like draw stuff in layers. We could also manually define the shapes we want to draw, so we can do some of this stuff and we can draw stuff. The raycast is pretty good for figuring out where you want to be, but we can also overwrite it. So instead of this, I could just manually be like, only draw a ceiling. So we have this. This is slow, and this only works for the environment because it's tile map based. So I'm working on a different rendering system that involves custom draw calls to canvas items. Kind of like you would do like cell layer animations. Because we're in a weird space where like the game space is 3D, but the rendering is 2D. And we're trying to play with that a little bit. Because this is actually a stack. To achieve this, these are a bunch of vertical stacks of tile map layers. This is how we're able to achieve this kind of effect. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing something else. I'm thinking about doing it kind of like... doing it more, instead of in a vertical Z level thing, kind of treating it in camera Z distance. So we're setting up like a rendering system that will draw back to front layer by layer to fill the environment and draw to like a handful of canvas items to achieve this effect. That's kind of what we're setting up. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try to draw things based on their Manhattan distance. There's some details we need to work out in terms about how this interacts with characters that are tall and or move, but I'm pretty confident we can make something work here. This is kind of a new attempt that we were starting this week. Push Toy looks pretty cool. The building and ortho perspective is curious. Yeah, it was a little hard to set up, but the input system can tell pretty well what you're trying to do now. Push Toy, that was your second stream in 10 years. Oh, wow. Welcome back. You were working on map unit loading and behavior. Sick. Yeah, if you got to run, no worries. If you want to tell me what kind of game you're working on, I'd be very interested. I'm all about maps and units. It sounds like a strategy game, that's what we're about here. That's the kind of stuff we love. We'll continue working on this for a bit here. It's an isometric game, yeah, like Diablo 2. How do you like Halls of Torment? That's a Godot game that came out really pretty recently that does some pretty incredible stuff in kind of that vein. I play this game on my Steam Deck quite a bit. Pretty incredible what they were able to achieve. I tried to get them to tell me how they're doing such large-scale instance rendering. They wouldn't tell me, but I bet they're doing something similar to what we're trying to do here. I bet they're doing some draw calls that then you take advantage of the fact that canvas items don't need to be redrawn. They can just be moved around at very little cost. But yeah, I love this game. Recommend this to anyone who likes old school Diablo or whatever. Good stuff. It's on sale. $4.99. Chasing Carrots. I like that, Dev. I say this is a recent. This recently came out. It came out in September of 2024. God, Dave. Yeah, hell yeah. No, I love a good isometric game. I like can't make games in other perspectives for some reason. Even though it's so much harder to make an isometric game, I'll be doing a game jam and I'll be like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be isometric. People are like, why? And I'm like, it's all I know. Like, I don't want to do side on or top down or, God forbid, 3D. I do sometimes do 3D, but only when I'm allowed to use art assets. I've just got an isometric heart, an isometric soul. Isometric soul, that would have been a good name for a game dev studio. Doing pixel art and isometric is a challenge. That's true. That's true. What we have here isn't really isometric. It's more like dimetric. It's half as high up, so it's like between side on and isometric. It's 4:1, so there's 4 horizontal pixels for every vertical pixel. If you're drawing just a line, you can kind of see it on the edge here. And yeah, I like it for this. It gives it a bit more of a pop-up book look, but it also causes some problems because there's a lot more verticality in this. But yeah, I'll try to, if you're streaming, if you're gonna start streaming regularly, I can't wait to see some of the stuff you're working on. That's great. Oh, I appreciate the raid. We got a bit more time here today. And then once we're done here, probably in the next 20 minutes or so, we'll keep this raid train running. But yeah, let's get back to working on some stuff. You know what's gonna be crazy? So we have this whole auto tiler system that figures out where in the texture, where the auto tiler, where we're rebooting. Rebooting my mouth. So the auto tiler probably isn't going to change very much as we move from the tile drawing system to just CanvasItem drawing system. But yeah, the fundamental thing that we need to do is we need to prepare a set of data to push back, because we have a very stark contrast. We have all of our gameplay simulation stuff in C# in this kind of separate game world. And then we have all the stuff that we're rendering, and we send stuff back. We send stuff to render back to Godot, and we get inputs back from Godot. So we have this constrained kind of two-way communication between our game world and the engine. And so what we need to do is we need to prepare a set of data to send back for these draws. And that data is this. The data is, what's the texture? Where in the canvas layer's local space is that texture going to be drawn? And then what is the region within that texture that we're going to draw? Is there a modulate? Is there a transposition? Are we clipping the UVs? So we need to prepare all of this data, which is very different than the data that you need to send over to a tile map. To a tile map, the data that you send over is, assuming I can bring up the window, data that you want to send to a tile map is this. It's the position of the tile, the source ID of the tile, and then the coordinates within the atlas coordinates of the tile in that source, as well as whether it's an alternative tile or not. So we're gonna be sending a lot more different data over. You got raided yourself? Half of them are probably asleep though. That's fine. Marticus, have you ever? I mean, I think I have Marticus because I'm Marticus. What are you doing? You're posting to me a YouTube video? This can't possibly go wrong. Have you ever had a dream like this? I don't know what this is. It's 21 seconds, so I'm gonna watch this real quick. Oh, I see. I see. This is like a kid trying to tell a story. What is he saying? He's saying, "Have you ever had a dream that you had you would you could you'll do you want you could do so you." Yeah, that's good. That's great television. Yeah, that's good. I'm familiar with that meme now that I've seen it. I'm not gonna play it on stream here because I'm a YouTube partner now, and I got to be careful about displaying other people's content on the stream. Of course, yeah. Anyone is free to click that link. Arneo, we don't sleep here. We have people who drink iced coffee and energy drinks, so we can distract and derail every stream. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to all the Europeans who are somehow still awake. It's like 2:30 for me in the afternoon, so still early for me. I do maybe think I need a cup of tea. I'm tired. And I'm doing a good job not getting anything done today. I think I'm nailing it. So the aspects of this that I'm concerned about. So the function we're interested in here. We're working our way down the tile drawing system and recreating the functionality in the CanvasItem drawing system. I honestly might rename it the tile drawing system from the CanvasItem drawing system once we've switched the away. So we have this set tile map layer data function. This is like where we set all of the tiles for like a certain context. So like editor blocks are like all the opaque tiles. And then editor inputs is a specific like semi-transparent overlay. And then editor select is another semi-transparent overlay. And what we were doing before is we had a set of tile map layers that were responsible for those particular layers. And that was an unfortunate aspect of the tile map layer approach, which this CanvasItem approach is better because instead of having to have 3 different tile map layers to represent those overlays, we could conceivably just draw them over. So if we need to draw an overlay, we just draw the overlay across the tile we want. We just draw it on top of the opaque tile. The only thing is, for our transparent overlays, we might want some kind of blending, which maybe CanvasItem will do the blending for us if we set the modulates correctly. It's a good question. Nix, your seed generator is deterministic. The ID the Project Zomboid gives to the zombies is a random number between 1 and 10,000. Past midnight, where you are, Arneo, we should be telling you to go to bed. Never. Never. You got this. No, you should go to bed. I've been doing really bad, which is part of the reason why I'm tired today and I'm not feeling super productive. Is like last night I stayed up till midnight at a co-working event. And the night before I stayed up till 1 a.m. I was trying to prep for the stream, but I ended up making it really tough on myself. So yeah, go to sleep. Maintain a good... This is a marathon, right? It's almost never the case that you need to stay up super late to do the thing. I know it's tempting too, because there's only so many hours in the day. And sometimes it feels like you're not making progress. But I would encourage anyone to focus on self-care first, you know? All right, so a set tile map layer data call involves a tags buffer, which is fine. A block tags buffer is really just a list of all the kind of qualities of a block, a given block. Like, we have a target node, which we don't really need now. May or may not need a target node. And we have a mask that's internally consumed. This is part of the reason I don't like our format components. I don't really like just having to load all of them here. I mean, it's not that bad, but think it's weird. All right, we have accounts. We get the counts of all the tiles we want to draw. Actually, we get the count of all the tiles per layer, which we probably still want to do. We have an interesting challenge here where we would kind of want to minimize the amount of redrawing to take advantage of the fact that CanvasItem doesn't redraw, or it doesn't need to call you to for a CanvasItem. Here, we'll go all the way to the top here. For a CanvasItem, any CanvasItem can draw. For this, Q redraw is called by the engine. CanvasItems, because of this, CanvasItems don't need to be redrawn on every frame, improving the performance significantly. Yeah, so minimizing unnecessary updates is going to be pretty key for us. Hey, Cynical Dev. Love the name. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Nix, you think you've been consistently up till 4 a.m. for the past 2 weeks? Oof. You're almost done with your mods, so you can start obsessing over something else. Arneo, one more toast sandwich before bed. You at least maintained your promise of not doing any work. You don't get stuck on a problem to keep you awake. Toast sandwich. I feel like the definition of a toast sandwich would be 3 pieces of bread, right? Because any sandwich would need 2 outer pieces of bread, and then for it to be a toast sandwich, you would additionally need a 3rd interstitial piece of bread. That's funny. Yeah, take it easy, Arneo. Yeah, I'm gonna start looking for lunch after this. I'm feeling a little, you know, I'm not hangry yet, but you know that kind of hollowness that you feel before you've, like, if you haven't eaten enough. I'm feeling it. I'm gonna be on the prowl for lunch soon. I get, but I'm sure it'll be good. Yeah, so again, we want to avoid this Q redraw thing, but I actually want to test the case of us Q redrawing everything. Because like when the camera rotates or something, that is essentially going to require a full redraw of every CanvasItem, pretty much no matter what. So I at least want to test the performance of a full redraw. So we don't really need to worry about it, but it's like the occlusion thing. Eventually we'll want to occlude to handle the known problem, which is going to be overdraw. Eventually we want to have some kind of dirty flag or hashing thing so we can tell if we're submitting the same information to the canvas item as we were last time, and then just not do it. Oh yeah, toast sandwich makes no sense. Maybe you're tired. It makes sense. There's people who have like a chip sandwich, right? And that'll just be like chips inside a sandwich. It'll be like French fries or something, right? Toast Whopper. There you go, Jacob. Nix, you're not sure the outer 2 slices needs to be bread. That's true. That's true. You could have like a lettuce wrap toast sandwich. So you've got 2 pieces of lettuce on the outside and 1 piece of bread in the middle. That's the carb conscious option. Y'all are funny. Yeah. That's kind of what we need to focus on during our new version of this set tile map layer data. So I think what ours will be called will be something like set CanvasItem params or something like that. Maybe that's what we'll call it. For now, at least. That'll be our function we call. We'll need the block tags very, very clearly. Oh, we actually get the buffer. Oh, right, because we can't just pass. Why can't we pass the buffer? Oh, that's because of the... I know why. We wrote this to be multi-threaded. I'm going to write it to not be multi-threaded. I'm going to write this to be not. Buffer 3D read only. Block tags. Block tags. So I know I need the block tags. I don't know if we need a target node. We do potentially need the mask. We could do it other than with a mask, though. We could do, like... We could make that block tag instead. I guess a mask is easy to do. All right. I think we've reached the next, like, chunky task here in this rewrite. So I think we'll probably wrap it up here. Ooh, that's bright. But yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out. I gotta go get some laundry going and then get back to work. And find lunch, importantly. But yeah, this was great. This was a nice stream. Sorry for missing yesterday's, but we'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here. I should be here Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We should be going strong the next few days. Really trying to push through to get some stuff drawing soon. Thanks for the stream. No, thank you, Jacob, for the stream. It's not a stream without Jacob. It's not a stream without you all, you know? Every one of you. Yeah, thank you to Push Toy, again, for the raid. We need to find someone to raid. That's what we got to do. Nanigans, you might pop on this evening and do some texture stuff streaming. Nice, nice. Nick's great stream. It gets great stream. You did a bunch of good work. Nice, nice. May everyone's lunch be toasty like a sandwich. Thanks, Arneo. GG Push Toy, thank you. Yeah, let's find someone to raid. Where are we going? Thank you again, everyone on YouTube that's hanging out. There's a lot of you. I know you like to lurk, but I really appreciate you. We have some new things that you can look at. Like we've got membership now. You know, we're probably gonna go right into Ezra. Ezra's doing some really great stuff. They got a series going on right now about starting a new game and sticking with it, and you know, doing the good stuff you're supposed to do nowadays, which is like short turnaround times, you know, tight scope. Ezra's doing a lot of great content on that, so I think we'll probably go hang out. Yeah, we're gonna set that up. You don't like toasted bread, Nix? That's an interesting opinion. Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate you all. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.